Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual Purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the Purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the Purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the Purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to another episode.
I'm John.
Tom. With me as always is John. I played that audio of the Purge because
Oh, I heard it.
that's what's coming.
I heard it. I heard it. Jeez.
Lord in heaven, this is going to be a fun two-part episode, I think. With us, Nick from the Roll Call Room podcast. We asked you to come back last minute because of all the stuff that's going on, and I think you'll add an interesting perspective as well.
Yes.
So welcome back.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be back. I'm glad some of the things I said last time did not bar me from coming back. So.
No. Everybody has. We've had people say, "Hey, thanks for telling me about the Roll Call Room podcast," and then we've had people say, "Hey, thanks. For, I just found you through the Roll Call Room podcast." So it's cool.
It worked out perfect.
It did.
Worked out perfect.
And we can't wait. We're going to do our big group show. We'll talk to you about that off the air, but there's a potential conflict if John and I are both going to do it.
I hit you in the DM, Nick, by the way, about that.
And then Aaron.
What's up, guys?
Because we don't always need a police officer's perspective. Sometimes we need a hose dragger / ER nurse.
And he's awake.
And he's awake.
So let's just talk about what's the... It's been a year-long week.
Yeah.
Somehow 2019 seems so long ago.
Yeah.
It just, right when you think it's going to end,
Right.
you're like, no, that can't get worse.
So I got a thing, somebody sent me a meme that said, why is everybody worried about the cops and the coronavirus right now? And it's a picture of one of those yard cameras that videos what's happening in your backyard, and it's a possum going one direction and a wild boar with a raccoon on its back going the other direction, right towards each other. And it says, why aren't we talking about the raccoons that are breaking wild boar to square off against possums? And at this point, I think that it's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, it's not.
We're getting rid of police departments now, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
We're sending social workers to 911 calls. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What else is a thing?
You got separate agencies not replying to mutual aid requests.
Well, yeah,
that makes a statement.
Yeah.
You've got the blue coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's the blue coronavirus.
Yeah.
And there's no shadow of a doubt that prosecutors are no longer on law enforcement's side.
Oh, 100%.
There's no shadow of a doubt
Not
that
one.
Politics has taken over the prosecution or the criminology of law enforcement shootings. There's no shadow of a doubt now. We always knew
Facts have no truth.
We can cue the happy, upbeat music right there
I
because
think,
this episode's just going to go up.
I want to be positive.
Right.
Facts have no truth.
Well, it's funny that you brought up the prosecutor thing. Oh man. See, I've had that thought for quite a while, and I'm sure a lot of us have.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't have to be something major like what just happened, but I mean like subtly DAs questioning you on little specific things when wait, all of a sudden you can't take my word for that?
Okay, so my first experience with that was not a DA, it was an ER doc. Right? And the first time I realized that our reputation was turning for the worse was I was in an ER. I had just taken a guy to jail. And, you know, when you take a 5149 and a half and he's getting ready to go to jail, a lot of times when they start banging their head in the back of the car, they're kicking the window. Well, this dude had banged his head into the cage repeatedly and had opened up a small cut above his eyebrow. And fine, no problem. We just take it, get it medically cleared, and then he can go to jail. So take him to the ER. And the doctor says, or the nurse says, so what happened? I was explaining, and the doctor's walking by. I said, yeah, you know, once we arrested him, he started smacking his face into the screen. And the doctor goes, are you sure it wasn't a screen test? And now, for those of you who don't know, there was a time when law enforcement first got cages where the cop up front might say, what was that you were saying? I couldn't hear you. And then as you lean forward to whisper in his ear, he'd stomp on the brakes. Your face would hit the cage, and it would teach you not to be mouthy anymore. And it was called a screen test. It's typically not done anymore. Because, you know, well, first of all, you got cameras in the car.
Yeah.
Seatbelt.
So you got to seatbelt your prisoners in. There's all kinds of reasons. Yeah, this doctor actually accused me of doing that. Well, he implied that I'd done it. And I was like, wait a minute. An ER doctor just, with having never met me, assumes that I gave this dude a screen test. I was shocked that that was his instant judge. And slowly but surely, I started to watch, like you said, prosecutors, you know, wondering what's in your jacket. What do you mean what's in my, you're not going to give me the benefit of the doubt that I'm a good cop right out
anymore.
the gate?
Not anymore.
No.
Those days are over. The cop being the truth that's long gone.
I think like started way back when the whole Rampart thing, whole drug stealing and all that shit was going down too. Like that's.
And it was all proven to be bullshit.
Yeah.
There's like 4 cops that were disciplined out of the Rampart scandal.
Yeah.
4. And none of them were fired. I don't think any of them were fired.
Or one of them. The main guy was.
No, Rafael Perez was fired. But he was the one who started all the lies about all the people at Rampart.
Right.
But they found 4 cops that had done something that was worth disciplinary action, and none of it was related to anything that Rafael Perez had said. It was all bullshit. Right. Everything Perez said was bullshit. So,
but they didn't find that out till later. But then you get
a movie like Training Day,
right?
And you know the movie like Training Day makes it seem like no, that shit was all real. That's how they did it. You get the shield, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what we're talking about Atlanta because let's back up. In the worst timing imaginable. There was a scuffle, and a black dude who was not wanted to go to jail fights with the cops, pulls a taser from the cops, fires the taser at the cops, gets shot and killed. Officer's white, dead guy's black, and the bullet, I think, went in through his back. So now you get, 4 days later, 5 days later, the quickest investigation in history, by the way. The DA is charging these cops with murder.
Right.
And this
murder,
is
not manslaughter.
This is before the Georgia Bureau of Investigations has concluded their investigation.
So the DA makes the announcement of the charges and the arrest, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, their version of the Department of Justice, releases a statement saying, number one, we didn't finish our investigation. You asked us to investigate this, and we are still investigating it. Number 2, we had no idea that press conference was taking place.
Yeah.
And we had no part in it whatsoever. And number 3, we're going to continue to do our investigation, and we'll let you know if we find anything. And yet he's already been charged.
Yeah.
With murder.
That press conference was despicable.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
That press conference, a dog and pony show, and to charge up the main officer Garrett with 11 charges, it's just despicable. I mean, the guy. It all but guarantees that a jury would come back with a guilty verdict of one of the 11.
And Yeah, you're basically baiting him. But what's amazing to me is that you have this DA filing all of these charges against this police officer, not only before the ink is dried on whatever initial report. So who's investigating it? Number one. Number two, I've worked shootings. You're going to need a lot longer than 4 or 5 days to come to any sort of a conclusion. And number three, this is a DA who, in this instance, says the officer had no reason to fear for his life. But 2 months ago, right? 2 months ago, this same DA gave a presentation where he was charging other officers with a crime because of the fact that they deployed a taser, and the taser, he said, is considered a deadly weapon. So 2 months ago, when you want to charge cops with using a deadly weapon because they used a taser, it's a deadly weapon. And now 2 months later, when you want to charge the cop, but his justification is that he had a taser pointed at him, now it's not a deadly weapon?
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that the prosecutor is currently under investigation
Right.
for
Oh, yeah. That's the other.
misappropriation
I didn't hear that. What's?
nonprofit funds
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I heard
And
that.
sexual harassment.
And
Yeah.
sexual harassment.
I
and
heard
sexual harassment. Yeah. So he's going to do a fine job on this case.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dog and pony show.
Yeah. I don't even think
I don't think
dogs
he'll
or
get-
ponies.
yeah.
He'll get cats and hamsters.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to be, well, so
That's unbelievable to me. I don't.
from what I'm understanding, and I would have shot somebody running with a taser.
Absolutely.
Would have.
After they shot it at you?
Well, so now here's what we're hearing via the attorney's statement, I guess, for the police officer, is that the guy took the taser, started running, and then turned and fired. So from the officer's perspective, he's chasing the guy with the taser. He sees the guy turn, have something in his hand, and it goes pop, and he sees a flash. And so he holsters his taser and takes out his service weapon and fires his service weapon at the only target presenting itself to him, the guy's back.
There's video. There's
Yeah.
video of it. I watched it before I came on here. It's
So-
incredible.
Yeah, so you're telling me that this cop can't use deadly force when a guy turns and points and pulls the trigger on something that goes pop and flash in his face?
Right. How does anybody know that in his brain that wasn't a gun that they just hadn't found?
Right.
It's ridiculous. And I will say this. I know you said, Nick, that you just had watched the video, and I know we've all watched this video a bunch of times. I want to talk about, real quick, the use of a carotid restraint. That could have been applied and used safely.
Yep.
And the officer did have that hold. He had it, and he let it go.
Yep.
He let it go because I'm sure, I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know the guy, but either A, it's not allowed
Right.
by the department, or B, it was. And now that all this new stuff had come out about it, he's like, shit, if I use this, I'm going to get in trouble.
Right.
When in reality, it would have saved this guy's life.
It would have saved the suspect.
It would have saved all their
100%.
lives. It would have saved all their lives.
Yeah.
Because now you got the guy who shot him, his life is ruined.
Right.
And then you got the guy who's been shot is dead.
Right.
So everybody loses
Yeah.
except the DA.
Yeah.
Who might lose? But
And let's not forget, Georgia has on their books right now, a taser is classified as a less lethal firearm. So on the books, their law has a taser as a deadly weapon.
Yeah.
So it falls into the realm of deadly force.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the charges that the officers had on this guy was DUI, obstruction ×2 felony, battery on an officer ×2, aggravated assault ×2 felony, strong arm robbery felony, and amongst other charges. But those were the main charges that they were going to charge him with.
Besides
Yeah.
him being on, was he on parole?
He was
Or probation?
that's still up in the air
Oh.
because I tried to do research whether or not he was on probation or parole.
No confirmation yet.
But let's also remember that he was asleep in a Wendy's drive-through.
Because he was
And
drunk.
His BAC
he
was 108, 35% higher than the legal limit.
Yep.
These are facts that we just don't, and I don't mean we, I mean the sheep, don't listen to or don't look at, which is what was the root cause of it. There was nothing wrong with him going in handcuffs and complying and complaining the next day when he sobered up. If you didn't like the way that he was treated, comply and complain. Comply, go with the arrest, and you can complain to a supervisor down in booking or next day when you get out. It is a shame that he lost his life, but the shame is on him, not on those officers. That's my personal opinion.
No, I mean you forced their hand. That was all on you. You did that. You know,
I watched those videos like at least 24 times before I came on, because I always like to look at them objectively. And as a cop, I always like to see, like right away, Monday morning quarterback the officer and say, okay, this could have been done differently. This could have been done. It was so textbook. Mm-hmm. Other than what John was saying, which is they had control of him. They had the neck control on him, and I would venture to say that officer was like, I know I've got a lot of people recording because there's tons of phone camera footage of this. That officer relinquished that control hold because he was probably in fear of what happened in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
And there was video after he shot him where he's screaming at the suspect, begging him not to die. That's not somebody that maliciously... You're going to have a real tough time proving first-degree murder.
Oh, 100%.
You're going to have a real fucking rough time proving that.
Yeah, where was the premeditation in that?
He had every opportunity. The verbal skills that those officers displayed, the verbal warnings were amazing. Yeah. As a former supervisor, that's exactly what I'm looking for internal investigation for use of force. Stop resisting. Don't touch the taser. Drop the taser. Don't run. You're going to get shot. He had multiple warnings. Multiple. A lot of patience. Yeah. Oh, tons. And the public needs to get out of their head that suspects cannot be shot in the back. That shit's got to stop. And I thought it would stop with Darren Wilson and Michael Brown back in Ferguson. No. They have got to get that out of their head. Because if you think that when you turn and you're running away from the police, you can't be shot in the back and it's not justified, you need to look at case law. You need to look at the threats. It is very easy to fire a weapon while you're running away from somebody. It's very, very easy.
Yeah.
And we've seen training video after training video after training video after training. Foot pursuits are just dangerous, period. End of story, because it's completely reactionary. Mm-hmm. You're going to do what you're going to do based on whatever the suspect does, right? So it's interesting we were talking about based on everything the suspect does. I will put this out as a hypothetical, and you guys have heard my stance on mandatory arrest and the lack of discretion given to cops anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I've talked about,
we've
talked about drunk driving, we've talked about domestic violence, and one of these days I'll sit down and I'll do an episode where I'll just explain my theories and the research done out of Minnesota, of all places, on what the unintended consequences of a mandatory arrest are, right? Well, let's use that in this situation. Let's pretend that this guy, drunk, passed out in the Wendy's parking lot or drive-through or something.
Drive-through, yeah.
Drive-through. So let's pretend that this officer has discretion, right? And there's no Mothers Against Drunk Driving or no case law or no political laws that are on the books that say you have to arrest somebody for DUI, right? And let's say that this officer contacts this guy and he's done nothing else wrong except be drunk in the car. And the officer says, you know what? He's a good dude. I've seen him around here. He's just in the Wendy's parking lot. So I'm going to say, hey, you need to get out of the car, call somebody to come pick you up. Give me permission. I'll drive your car out of the drive-through. I'll hold on to your keys. Once we have somebody that'll come pick you up. You do the right thing and you let the dude go. Even though he made a stupid mistake, you get the idea that justice will better be served by cutting this dude a break because he's clearly in no shape to A, drive, and B, his life's not going to really survive getting arrested for a DUI, right? So you're trying to give the dude a break, but you can't. If the officers have been able to give this, not that he deserved it, but had they been able to give this dude a break, they can have more choices of how they want to handle the situation, as opposed to saying, well, he's DUI and I get in a shitload of trouble for not taking somebody who's DUI to jail.
It's because the what if comes into play.
Right. So the first thing in their mind on a DUI call, which should be relatively simple. And don't get me wrong, I love taking DUIs to jail. I loved it because they're a menace. But at the same time, I have done things that if, now that I'm retired, it doesn't matter, but I let certain people go. I let their wife come get them. I let this or that happen because they were an upstanding member of the community and they needed a break, not an arrest.
Same.
So if these cops, the first thing out of the gate is I have to start making my decisions based on politics. The politics of number one, what happens in the public eye if a police officer lets somebody who's DUI have a break, period. And then every other decision they're making after that is what? Viewed through the same lens. What is going to happen to me if I do X? Then I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Well, he released the choke, right? And we call it a choke. We know it's not a choke, blah, blah, blah. But he released the carotid restraint off the guy. Why? Like you said, looking through the lens of politics. If we take away the discretion and we look at everything through the lens of fucking politics, now you're getting exactly what we're getting now.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think, and that's the thing, the big mantra right now is police reform. It's not the police reform that needs to be done. It's a look at some of the laws that are on the books. We only enforce the laws. We don't make the law. And same goes with DVs, with mandatory arrest. I don't know how it is with you guys, but down in the Commonwealth of Virginia, it's a mandatory arrest state for
same here.
DUIs.
Yeah, same.
And automatically, you're walking up the stairs to this residence, you're taking somebody to jail.
And they know that.
Right. And the thing is you really don't have very many options. And I'm the same as you. I'm out of the profession now, so I can say it. There have been many, many times where I have Uber lifted somebody to the Hilton for the night, and that has solved the problem. Now, does that work on every DV case? No. The reason why we have mandatory arrest is because some of these folks return back and kill the victim. I get that. I understand it. But there needs to be other alternatives. The same thing with DUIs. What are the alternatives? You let this guy go and he slams into a minivan full of kids.
Right.
And then
what if?
Right.
Yeah, that's the what if. And that's why DUIs, there's very little leeway other than having a family member pick them up and the promise that they're not going to return back to the vehicle. But for this particular instance, this guy was a menace. This suspect was a menace.
No, and I'm not even saying that this guy isn't a menace. He deserved to go to jail for a host of other reasons besides that. What I'm saying is, all things being equal, if this guy isn't a menace, you're already starting off handicapping the officer's discretion in the first place.
100%.
And every time you do that, the suspect, the 3 strikes law, what was the unintended consequence of the 3 strikes law? Anybody who knows that they've got 2 strikeable offenses and this is their 3rd strike might as well go out in a hail of bullets, because it doesn't fucking matter who they kill in their final crime spree, because they know they're going away for life anyway.
Over a little rock.
Oh, yeah. So the unintended consequence of a 3 strikes law is you might as well do all the shit that's going to get you life in prison, because you're going to get life in prison.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd venture to say I don't know the main officer, the one that shot, which is Garrett, which was the primary officer. If you watch those videos, I don't know what was going in his mind, his initial interaction with Brooks, but it looks like he was qualifying him for other alternatives other than an arrest. If you listen to his questioning, if you listen to him, he was giving him multiple opportunities to be like, you know where you are, okay, try again. Trying to
I get it.
spoon feed
Help
him.
him along.
Listen, bro, I'm trying to help you out. You're saying
Right.
you're in one state when you're in fucking Georgia, man. You're not in Ohio. Like, it was something weird where he thought he was in one place when in reality wasn't. And of course that was because his BAC is through the roof. But I don't think that officer initially was like, fuck, I want to spend 4 hours in booking with a drunk.
Oh, no.
I think he's qualifying him. They let him move his car to a parking spot in the parking lot. Everything was going in the direction of
if I don't have to hook this guy, I'm not gonna.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it was because he was fucking around with the PBT that things went south. Mm-hmm. He kept fucking around with the PBT. He knew the lingo. So as an officer, you're thinking to yourself, okay, this guy's probably been popped for DUI before. I have no choice, because you haven't learned from the first DUI you've been popped for. It just started going south quickly. And like I said before, I think these officers did a phenomenal job with their verbal skills. He was told he was under arrest, almost had that one cuff on, and everything played out the way that Brooks wanted it to play, or not wanted it to play out, but he dictated what happened, not those two officers. And the DA charging up Devin, the backup officer, with he charged, one of the charges was aggravated assault because he put his foot on him while they were fucking arresting him. Ag assault.
So that's that blows my mind, and the reason why I say this is because I understand that every agency has different use of force policies. They have different, there's criteria and all the stuff that plays in. I work for an agency that, I would say, when we meet force with force. And a lot of times with other agencies, it's a lot of like, we're going to dance around this before we really got to put hands on you.
Once you get what you give.
Right. So I was very surprised about once it escalated and it went to the ground, those officers could have beat the shit out of him, and they didn't. All they did was just try to control him the whole time after he had already displayed he was trying to hurt them on the ground.
Yeah. That's a strong dude, too.
Yeah,
Right.
that blew my mind.
Yeah. They were trying to just use their numbers and not have to beat the holy piss out of them.
I couldn't.
The restraint that they used was...
That's what I'm saying. They had no other choice.
Yeah.
They had no other choice.
Well, Brooks threw Devin Brosnan, which is the backup officer. He threw him around like a rag doll.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, he ripped Garrett's taser from his hand, like an infant, like a child.
And so then you tell
he overpowered him.
Right, and then so you tell me, what is the only reason someone would be trying to rip the taser out of your hand for?
Right.
Why would you continue to hold it?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing.
Why do you want
it? You got it from him, throw it. And just for your listeners, the tasers that they use are not the X26s, which is one shot. That's it.
This is the double.
Tasers that they use are multiple shots.
The X2s and X3s and
right. Theirs is X2. So, and that's why I watch the video so many times is if you listen to the video as Brooks is running away, you'll hear a series of pops, and that's Devin, the backup officer, trying to deploy his taser to take down Brooks.
I think that was on video too. There was a camera angle with that.
Yeah.
That was ineffective. And so Brooks still had one cartridge left in his X2. And any law enforcement officer, I'll pose it to you guys. You guys have been tased before, right? To get your tasers?
Yeah.
It sucks.
Not only that, but it incapacitates me, so I can no longer control or recover my weapon if somebody tries to take it from me.
Correct. And the non-law enforcement out there, that's one of the reasons why you get sprayed and tased is so that you can testify in court that if somebody got a hold of my taser and pointed it at me and I used lethal force, it's because I can no longer protect society from this person getting my weapon. And that's the case.
Yep.
And the other thing is, and I don't mean to monopolize all the time, but Tennessee v. Garner, it's clear cut. Tennessee v. Garner, and if you don't like it, then appeal it through the Supreme Court.
Yeah, for the listeners who aren't familiar with Tennessee versus Garner, Tennessee versus Garner is the Supreme Court ruling about law enforcement shooting people in the back, and it doesn't say you can't. What it says is you don't have justification unless, and the unless is they pose an immediate threat to the public. Well, this dude running around with a taser who first of all, he could tase anybody. Second of all, he could tase the cop and take his gun, and now he's got a gun. That would pose an immediate threat. Now, you add into that the ambiguousness of whether or not he thought it was a taser in the first place, or whether he thought it might have been a gun he didn't see. Who knows?
And he has history, so it's more probable than possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely a perfect storm, and I don't mean perfect, but and then the fallout.
Yeah.
The perfect shit.
Great.
And then the fallout is just, I mean, the Chief Shield, she just was like, nope, fuck, I'm out of here. She's like, nope.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think
after she was cowtailing and doing photo ops with all the protests in Atlanta because of the Minnesota thing, She was all, look at us. We're progressive. Look how great we are. Not even 10 minutes after the shooting, she's like, peace. I need boxes to pack them up.
I'm not, yes.
Peace.
I don't want this.
She's like, nope.
I'm out.
She fired him and she peaced out.
Yep.
That's what she did. She was like, you're fired. Bye. And that was it.
That's crazy.
She's like, I can't.
In a way, I don't blame her.
But you know what? She put herself in those shoes.
But wait
She
but wait
blacklisted
a
herself
day, for God's
the
sake.
rest of her
Wait
life.
a day. Like,
You know,
you
that's
know,
not
she
the way you
fucking
want to go
tagged
out.
No.
That's not the way you want to go out.
I mean, I think for people like that, they don't care how they go out. Like,
Yeah.
there is no reputation to protect.
It'll come back around.
Yeah.
It'll come back
She-
around.
Let's
She
hope
texts
so.
that
It will.
Yeah,
She'll
she
feel
texts
it.
that resignation on her way out. She was in the parking garage
There's
driving out.
She didn't think about that one.
Wow.
Yeah, she'll be a police chief somewhere else though.
Oh,
Trust
I'm
me.
sure. I'm sure.
Seattle's looking.
Jeez. Yeah, they have. Don't they have a little country up there where they need a chief of police?
Yeah, top. They're
Yeah.
interviewing.
Chaz was about. I liked it when it was
Chaz?
Chaz.
Chaz.
Chaz. Hi, we're Chaz. We're our own little country. They learned quick, right in a hurry, that a true anarchist world. I guess. Wait a minute. So let's get this straight. These people set up their own community, and now miraculously they're defending it with walls and guns.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, weird.
Weird. I thought
The
open
first thing they
borders
did was
worked.
make a wall. That was the
That's
first
the first
thing
thing
they
they
did.
did was made a wall, right? Then they're putting up whiteboards. Have you seen these whiteboards?
I don't think I've seen the whiteboard.
Oh my god, they're putting whiteboards just outside the walls, and it's soliciting people to drop off supplies of what they need.
Oh yeah. Check off the list.
And they're like, "Oh, we're running short," and it's like, if anybody has any vegan meat substitute,
Yeah,
we need
so-
that.
yeah.
We're looking for blankets, pillows, and warm clothes, men's pants. I'm like, what the fuck, men's pants? What are you doing?
This is The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's
I
that's
need a
what it is.
prescription for a couple testicles.
Yeah.
and some sutures for my mangina.
All four of us should drive over there and drop off real beef and be like, no, this is vegan.
Yeah. Listen,
And just
you
fuck
ever
their
heard of
stuff
that
up.
Impossible
Like
burger?
soy riso.
This is the unpossible burger.
This is the probable.
Just make them shit all the time. No toilet paper. Just be like,
I say if we, the federal government should say, yeah, we will absolutely supply you with foreign aid. How much beef can we send you? We'll send you pure beef. This is our foreign aid.
Yeah.
We can't eat beef. What a shame.
Laxative injected beef.
What
and
a shame.
Single ply toilet paper.
First of all, I kind of admire, and not like I admire the balls it takes for the city administration to just be like, fine, go ahead. And what I can't figure out though is if it's fine, go ahead, like I support you in this whole idea, or if it's fine, go ahead, watch what happens.
I think it's a mix. I think it's probably more towards we support this, but also in the back of their head, they know that it's not going to work out.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel about
Like,
it.
there was
But how do you take it?
people-
How do you take
The
it back
people
though?
starting it?
What's that?
How do you take it back though? You just let it play out.
Supposedly, biker gangs are supposed to do that. July 4th, that's the intel.
Really?
Yeah.
Biker gangs
Supposedly,
Yeah.
Hell's Angels, Mongols are all showing up.
taking over, or they're just gonna?
No, they're just gonna take it back.
Clear it out. They're,
Oh,
they're
wow.
like, this is our country. We're not gonna. Yeah, dude. If this is what brings the Hell's
If
Angels,
the Hells Angels and the Mongols get together,
Then something
then
good has come out of
yeah,
it.
I was going to say that. Wow, it's like that movie, The Replacements. Well, let's look at it this way: they're doing something together.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
I'd- I'd buy that T-shirt.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you know what? Here's the thing. It's probably the one time they can get away with going in and smashing heads and nothing happening to them.
Operation Rolling Thunder.
That's it.
Oh,
like it.
Operation. You better copyright that.
I'm gonna start making T-shirts. It's gonna have Mongols and Hell's Angels side by side on their choppers.
The Mongol
with
Angels.
frickin' Hawaiian shirts and nods on their frickin'
that's
OpsCore
funny.
helmets and call it Operation Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, that's the word on the street right now.
I could see the logo right now.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it's that will be the purge. That will be like the first step of the purge, where okay, you've declared yourself an autonomous zone. So now we don't have to come in there and protect you because you don't. None of our laws apply.
We're not responsible
so
for your
Wild,
safety.
Wild West.
Yeah.
In there, and y'all, they're not even answering 911 calls in there.
No.
Dude, so are there borders defined then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put walls up, walls and barriers.
Yeah. K-rail that they stole.
Right.
Right. Like, because these frickin' vegan soy boys just happen to have a bunch of K-rail lying around to border off their city. No, they fucking stole it.
But you know, the unfortunate part is the people that actually lived in this area that do not want to be a part of this are supposedly being held hostage. And they're not allowed to leave.
Yeah. I mean, we're making a joke.
No, right. But there is some serious shit going down.
Serious shit going down.
But it's a shame it's taking this long.
Yeah. How many people
it should have
total
shut
are
down.
involved in this? Do we know?
Oh, is it 6 city blocks?
Yeah, it's 6 city blocks.
Jesus,
6 city blocks.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
greedy.
I don't even.
Yeah.
How to qualify that?
Like, if there's a sign up sheet, if there's a sign up sheet for volunteers,
Oh, I'm waiting for the email to come out.
that
Hey, we
wanna
just need
go
help.
up and clear
Yep.
out CHOP. I'm free.
I'm in.
I'm
I
available.
may join the Hell's Angels just for that.
Hey, can I be a prospect?
I just want to prospect. What's the date? What's the date of this thing? Yeah, that's the day I want to start my prospecting.
Yeah.
Trust
And then
me,
I just
I'll be a
give
full patch member by the end of the day.
Honey, I'm going fishing. Where are you going? I'm going around, and I'll be back in a little bit.
We're gonna go chop some fish.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It would be awesome. I mean, especially because as soon as these people, like, you always see the footage of some 102-pound man when he's soaking wet with change in his pocket, and I use that term loosely, and he's wearing like a Che Guevara shirt and a hoodie and a bandana, and he's so tough because he's got a bike lock on a chain, and he goes and swings it at some beefy redneck who likes Toby Keith and grunt style shirts, and he just grabs the bike lock and then we've all seen these videos. As soon as they get drilled, they literally fold like laundry. So
Why did you punch me? That's what happened.
I think that in this analogy, it would be, I'm not sure which would be easier. It'll be as easy as taking either Poland or France in World War II.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'd be a little bit of resistance, but mostly a lot of, okay.
So we give up.
Right.
Also,
Yeah.
and then at what point do you call, so supposedly, you've got the Antifa members that have, they're now domestic terrorists. They are
Right.
terrorists. They're a
They
terrorist
are.
organization.
Right.
So when do we call the National Guard to handle this? Because
Well,
that's their job, technically.
yeah.
That's on them now.
Hey, you
They're
know what?
probably sitting there
No.
laughing.
They're like, ah, fuck.
Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't that be like their state police? Or would it be the national, I don't know.
I thought it'd be a National Guard at that point.
I might even be if they're a terrorist organization, then it's an insurrection, and you
Right.
can call the regular
Sure.
army.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, like I said,
Well, that's my question. At what point
But,
does that cross the line, and then the military gets involved?
well,
Because
the
if they
thing is, I
are-
think the line has already been crossed, and my question is why nothing has happened.
Well, it's been offered, but because of state politics,
So we're just going to talk about it while innocent people are just getting fucked over in there, basically.
Yeah, I don't.
the federal government stepped forward and was like, if you guys aren't going to take back the 6-7 blocks, we will come in and do it ourselves. And that was met with immense backlash.
And I
Which is
mean, I
that
kind
should
of
tell you
feel,
something right there.
Yeah,
I'm a
exactly.
states' rights guy, so I kind of feel like if the federal government offers and the state says no, then the federal government can say, okay, fuck you then. And the
That's
state,
pretty much what happened.
the state is going to have to deal with. I mean, shit, I would sue the hell out of them. I would sue the hell out of them for failure to, properly execute the duties of protection and da da da. Like, that's why states and cities are founded, and they have articles of incorporation and charters and what they're supposed to be there for. And there's got to be recourse as a citizen besides just voting somebody out for somebody's not doing their job, not protecting you. That's the perfect lawsuit right there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Sue
Yeah.
the shit out of the governor.
Mm-hmm.
Sue the shit out of the state house. Instead of the state of Seattle, you'll rename it after yourself.
Well, this is what happens when you act on emotion.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
That's what, and that's really what it is. It's what we saw when we went out
It's
there
not
to
even
watch
emotion,
the
it's like
protests
impulse.
and whatever. Is you see these, like I said, all these white women, these Karens that are saying Black Lives Matter, and I get the feeling that 60 or 70% of them, like there's somewhere you could tell they're diehard liberals that have been screaming this for years, but there's a large percentage of them that are that just have this like privileged white woman guilt, and they feel like that's their way of apologizing, and it's just to help them sleep at night. But next week, as long as they can go back to their little cushy existence and lives,
that and it blows my. They're apologizing for things they didn't do to people
that didn't have them happen to them.
You're right.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, but these
Say
are
what?
What?
Say what?
Oh, sorry, I made too much sense.
Oh. No, but it's okay. I forgive you.
So let's talk about. So then let's talk about what the response is. Right. The response in Atlanta right now is, I can't come in. So as we're recording this, as of last night, apparently, half of Atlanta PD or more that was scheduled to come into work Wednesday night called in sick.
Correct.
And then today, apparently Thursday morning day shift also called in sick. And now the mayor's like, no, we have plenty of units. We have plenty of people, plenty of bodies. The city is safe. And in the meantime, she says, but we can also call mutual aid if we need to. And rumor has it from local sources that all the cities that they would go to for mutual aid have told them to fuck off.
But if you have enough officers, then why do you need mutual aid?
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
if the city's covered, why do you need mutual aid?
Correct.
Obviously.
And we are getting real time info from certain people that
We
will
won't-
remain nameless.
yeah.
And I think right before I went to bed last night, there was 620 calls pending
Yeah.
in the entire
Oh,
city.
shit.
Yeah.
That's saying you're staffed?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No. So let's cover a couple of things that I was talking to Aaron about before we turned on the microphones, though. The mayor, I believe it was, goes on TV and says, there's no truth that the city is, short staffed more than normal. We had some people call in sick. I don't know the exact numbers right now. We're still looking at that, but yeah, we had some people, but we're good. We're fine. And that was the same one. She said, if we have mutual aid, we'll be fine.
Right.
Okay. Well, first of all, you lying bitch, you had those numbers last night. Every single captain knew exactly how many officers had called in sick at every precinct or every division or every
station,
station,
precinct, zone,
whatever they call
it.
them. Every single captain at every single one, every single watch commander knew and had the total.
Absolutely.
And he then called the captain, and then the captain called the chief or whoever's acting,
Whatever the
there.
chain of command is.
And they gave them a number, and then somebody added up all those numbers and came up with the total number of officers that didn't come to work on Wednesday night. And now here is Thursday, and they also have the exact number of officers that didn't come to work Thursday morning. So don't give me that bullshit. You know exactly how many cops didn't come into work. And secondly, most people don't know this, but the law says cops and essential public safety employees can't strike, you can't walk off the job, you can't do any of that. So then there's always been this thing that became known as the blue flu, where cops just say fuck it, they call in sick. Well, not only are they now calling in sick, but word on the street is that the cops that are there working are completely radio silent. They will not pick up the radio, and the only time they get on the radio is if another cop requests backup. That's it.
Yep.
Other than that, they can't even get people to go to calls. Dead silent.
The NYPD started that. The NYPD started it's called the slowdown. So all you do is you just take one call for service, and you don't even go to it, and you just hold that call the entire shift.
I love
don't
it.
even go to
I
call.
love it.
And as soon as dispatch comes on and goes, hey, did you make it to that call? And I'm still on my way.
Stuck in traffic.
Still on my
I love it.
And
And we don't want I would say the silent majority to feel like we're trying to fuck people over.
no,
That's not what this is. The cops are not trying to do that.
they're trying not to get charged with murder.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is a very extreme case And they're trying to figure out, in a world where they're supposed to go out with a gun and keep people safe, why is then one of their buddies getting charged with murder?
Right.
Yeah.
We want to come home to our families too, and
Well,
not go to
some of us.
No. Yeah. And
I'm kidding. She doesn't listen.
oh, that's true. Oh, that was funny. I forgot she was gone. So I'm like,
Wait for that hand to come out, a shoe or something.
No, we're at your house.
That's true.
Anyway, no, you're right. We want to go. That was always a good cop eats, goes to the bathroom, and goes home every shift. Right? Never miss a chance to eat, go to the bathroom, or go home at the end of your shift.
Every public service plan.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to help, but at what point is it worth the cost of our lives and our families' lives and everyone's lives, literally, for doing our job?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the silent majority need to start speaking up.
Yeah.
I think
Also, I don't ever want to hear a gun control argument about only the cops should have guns, because we can count on them to defend us when I don't ever want to hear that argument ever again, because if this last 2-3 weeks has proven anything, it's that there may be a time when the cops either cannot or will not come to help you. So we had a mini. It was during all the Black Lives Matter stuff. Somebody on our street decided to have a graduation party and posted their address on social media.
Oops.
And what was 30 or 40 people that were catty corner from my house 4 doors down turned into 150 people in the street. And
what?
Yeah, the cars. I mean, it was bad. So I went out there. I was armed. I was standing in the shadows. I'm calling 911. I'm giving her, okay, there's cars eastbound, this, that, the other thing. And my neighbor's out, and he goes, "Oh, you missed it. A couple of years ago at 4th of July, there was 600 people in the street, and we were out kicking some ass on these people because the cops were outside on the other side of the street stacking up, and they're like, no, we have to wait until we get sufficient bodies to come in and clear out 600 people. So do what you got to do." And so my neighborhood, and I'm like bummed, why didn't I live there then? My neighborhood literally went out and whooped ass up and down the street on 4th of July because they wouldn't leave the neighborhood and the cops couldn't come in.
Nice.
So there are going to be times when the cops can't come.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you can do to help us. Thanks.
So
We'll be in a little bit.
Your gun argument is invalid. At a minimum at this point. But I don't blame them. I don't blame the Atlanta cops. At what point do you say, you are not my friend, you are my enemy, you are actively seeking to do me harm, and I owe you no more loyalty? And until the citizens who want me to protect them stand up for me to you, I can't do anything.
Yep.
That's what you need. Those poor citizens, like you were saying, that are getting fucked over. It's your mayor that's fucking you over. It's your DA.
It's not the police
that's fucking
department.
you
Yeah, they
over.
don't have your back. There's
Yeah.
no support whatsoever.
And here's a little
None.
tidbit for those of you. DAs are elected.
Yeah.
That's why it was
Elected.
That's why that DA was going after him.
Right.
Trying to save his ass.
I was going to say, and he's up for election, isn't he?
He's
Coming up?
trying to save his
Coming up.
ass.
Yeah. And he's either
Well, he
saving
knows-
his ass or going out with a bang.
Well,
Well,
it's
he-
going to come full circle.
Well, he
A
knows
lot
the
of this is gonna-
controversy that's surrounding him about the stuff outside of the shooting is going to do him in. But if he could prosecute one of the two cops, but the problem is the way that the legal system works in Georgia and in Atlanta, this won't see the light of day for at least a year.
Right.
This won't go to court for at least, he'll be out of there way before then.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Georgia Bureau of Investigation basically comes out with their report and the DA has to drop the charges.
No, I agree with you.
I wouldn't be
think that's gonna
surprised
happen.
if that
I
isn't
would-
what happened.
I
Cannot
can't see
wait
that
for
not
that day.
happening. Yeah.
And I was gonna,
That's-
not that I was gonna go off on a different subject, but I was gonna kind of turn this to see where everyone feels this is gonna go once those charges either A, get dropped, or B, it does go to trial and then gets exonerated.
Right. Well,
Also-
okay, so let's start with this. If you're this cop, are you taking a jury trial or a bench trial?
Bench.
Bench. Yeah.
Bench trial.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. Right?
All day.
I would not take a jury on this. I will take a bench trial. If you don't know what a bench trial is, you're right to have a judge hear all the evidence.
That's right.
And not a jury. And the judge will decide the verdict, and his or her verdict is final. I'm going to tell you right now, if the evidence tends to indicate you're innocent, get a bench trial.
Yeah.
If you're guilty, get a jury.
Get a jury.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, if you get a bench trial and during the bench trial the judge is granting all the motions for the prosecutor, get ready to bend over because you're going to lose that fucking case. Because they tend in a bench trial, the judges tend to start dismissing a lot of things that the prosecutors are throwing at them in police shootings because they know it's bullshit.
Right.
When they start letting it in, you're fucked. You're fucked. The judge is like, you guys probably should work this shit out in the hallway. You know, But I would venture to say, I agree with you. I don't think that this sees the light of day in court. And I think what we see is we see major lawsuits like what happened in Baltimore. This officer is going to be forced to be reinstated back into Atlanta PD with back pay, with damages, and then he should resign. He'll never be able to work him off.
How could even if he wanted to? How could he? Like, you wouldn't be able to trust anything or anyone.
So you go back to Atlanta, right? And you're that guy at your own department, and everybody knows you are, and you live with that stigma, right? Or then you try going to another department. So if you're the chief of another department and this guy's name comes across your desk, are you going to buy that liability? Hell no. Hell no. You just go, dude, you're a good dude, but you're not worth the trouble.
I just can't wait till they write him a fat check and he's good for the rest of his life. I can't wait.
Well, that's what happened to the Baltimore 7.
Yeah.
The one lieutenant was close to retirement, and they prolonged this for 2 years. The guy was going to retire within months, and the guy's like, fuck it. I wasn't putting my papers in. I wanted to stay longer. They paid him all those 2 years and plus a settlement.
Yeah.
So this guy's going to make, the problem is he's going to have to endure, his family's going to have to endure, and so is the other officer. They're going to have to endure this shitstorm for a while, but in the long run, they're going to be made whole in the long run.
I hope
the
so.
FOP,
I hope so.
And there is a GoFundMe. We will share the link. There's a fundraising effort. The officer has said yes to allowing organizations to raise money for his fees,
legal fees.
Legal fees is hell. He's got no paycheck. His family. So we'll post the link to that. But dude, talk about getting fucking railroaded.
Yeah. Well, did you guys hear? So I was working during the conference that happened yesterday, and so I was getting bits and pieces. But did you guys hear something to the effect of his partner had approached the prosecution and said, "Hey, I'm willing to talk about this"? That's false. That's okay.
It's false. The prosecutor put it out there that Devin Brosnan, which was the backup officer, was going to be state's witness, and his attorney came out and said that is 1,000% not accurate, and he is not complying with any prosecution whatsoever.
Okay, good. Because I got a little angry when I heard that, and I'm like, what?
There's no fucking way. No way.
Well, so if I had heard that, my first instinct would be, wait a minute, maybe there is something we don't know, and this guy made statements.
No, I would have been like, now you're going to see me go to jail for a real reason.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Or we're talking about the prosecutor who has all this shit behind him, so
yeah,
he'll do anything to save his ass.
That whole press conference was just it's like a 3-ring circus watching.
I didn't see it.
Right down to him sweating.
That's sweating like a whore in church.
I haven't seen anybody sweat like that since I've done prostitution rings. I was the top. I wasn't the prostitute.
No, that's cool. We believe you.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll tell. Okay, here's a fun story because it's we'll end on a happy note.
This is a birthday.
We're running out of time. Yes, this is
my favorite story ever.
This is Aaron's favorite little war story. So, a guy in my undercover unit, we worked narcotics, but we were the only undercover unit for the county to really rely on to do sting operations that had enough surveillance equipment and all that, because small agencies, they just don't have enough to run undercover stings usually. So we were asked by a couple of cities to do a prostitution sting, and we did it off of Craigslist at a motel. We did the whole thing set up in the room next door, and then we have this guy who shall remain nameless. He was undercover, and our team sent him in as the country construction worker boy who's gonna hire a prostitute off of Craigslist. And so as they're watching, they tell him the bus signal is "It's my birthday." So all this undercover officer has to say is "It's my birthday," and they'll come rushing into the room, and so the like third or fourth girl through the door is an oceanside sweat beast. Like she is
Oceanside sweat beast.
She is right.
That's awesome.
Like she is just like large and in charge. And you're talking about this. We used to tease this cop about his thing for big asses, and this was even too much for him. And you could see the other guys were saying that you could see the look on his face through the camera. It was like, oh shit. So the deal goes down. The deal goes down, and
This is great.
she starts to unbutton his pants, and he goes, "Well, it's my birthday." Cricket.
I've done that shit too.
And he goes, "Right? Oh man, this is great. It sure is like it's my birthday."
He's all on the mic like, hey.
He's all, "Guys, birthday."
birthday.
And she just keeps going, like looking at him. She keeps going because he's trying to stay undercover, and she has no idea he's giving a bus signal. And they waited as long as they possibly could,
that's
and then they
fucked
came
up.
busting in the room, and they're laughing. "Ma'am, you are under arrest."
That's so
laughing.
great. That's so great.
So to this day, when your buddy's in trouble, the bus signal is "It's my birthday," and then your friends know not to do anything to help you.
That's so great.
I'm so glad it's your birthday.
I love that.
It's like when you're drunk at a bar and you ask your buddies, "Hey, is she cute? I'm a little drunk. Is she cute?" And they go,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
She's-
and
Wait till you
yeah,
wake
she's
up
a
next
hurt.
to that.
You're gonna
you're
love
a 10.
it.
Next
Make sure
morning
you
it's
leave.
Carol Baskin.
So, John, real quick, we gotten some questions on the War Stories clan tag for Warzone. So we figured out that we have to invite you into the regiment.
Yeah, that was something new we figured out.
We didn't know initially. We thought you could.
Sorry, we're not gamers.
Yeah. So we thought you could just type in our clan tag and say that's who I want to join.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to play, like we said, if you're looking to play with us, then just email us. Say, hey, this is my Activision. I think it's Activision.
Yeah, we
gamer
need
tag
just
or whatever.
your Activision account number.
Yeah, so you
That's it.
send us your Activision account number, and then we can send you the invite to the regiment, and then you'll be in it. And then
email or Instagram or whatever.
So the way it'll work is you'll be able to play in squads with us, or if we're not available, you guys will get to know each
Other
other,
listeners,
and you'll
yeah.
all
Which is
join
already
together.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You'll all be joining together and be like, "Yeah, I'm a listener too." And then every once in a while, one of us will pop in. I finally, because the lockdown is over, was able to get a new headset,
Oh,
chat
nice.
headset for my video games, so I can start trying this again. But John has to send me the invite to the regiment. Like I'm not even in my own regiment.
We'll get that done.
So we'll get that.
I'll jump on that.
Sweatshirts should be going out shortly. We updated the logo because the logo used to say something that was pulled or borrowed from or similar to an Air Force unit slogan that we thought would work, and the saying "come home with your shield or honor" at the end of every episode just kind of became a thing. So the bottom of the sweatshirts and the t-shirts are now going to say "come home with your shield or on it," or with your shield or on it, not come home. But so we changed that. So that was the delay in getting them printed because we had to have new screens made. So we'll get them out to you. We should have more for the new orders.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on all the social medias. Nick, where can they find you?
You can find me on rollcallroom.com.
And then you want to talk about the upcoming super podcast. It's the
Yeah, so Podfest.
mother of all podcasts.
Yeah, so 6 podcasts coming together one night. We're working out the fine details. War Stories, Ruck Up, Roll Call Room, 9/11 Chronicles, I think it's called. William Young's Saturday Night Symposium. He's from the corrections side. One night only. Sounds like a Broadway show. One night only. All of us come together and do one podcast live. So it should be pretty interesting. I've never seen it done before. It could either be a really good thing or an absolute disaster, which would be even funnier. So
I have no idea. We just got invited and we're like, yeah, we'll come.
Yeah, sure.
yeah, I was like, you know what? We have so many cop podcasts out there that it'd be good for all of us to kind of get together, and we're all just hanging out at a bar and we're all just telling war stories and just fucking around. And I think it'd be pretty cool.
I think we should go out on tour. We just book out theaters and you can come sit down and we'll tell you guys all stories in person. And
the real deal.
We'll spend the first 2 hours just telling stories in person, and then we'll spend the next hour drinking at the lounge with you and do a meet and greet. We'll do that. It'll be fun.
Yeah. And if you get VIP tickets, we'll tell you about command staff. And that requires KY jelly and a dildo. Just me. Okay,
right.
Sorry.
I can't wait till I retire.
No shit.
So I used to say, you get the trauma plate, right, in your soft vest, and then you have this little hard steel plate to make sure that, it covers your heart. And I used to say that when I got to the station, if admin was there, I would take the steel plate out from the front and slide it down the back.
Yeah.
And the chief would go, "Hey, I got your back," and I'd go, "I know, chief, I can feel you there."
Yeah. I can feel your hands on my shoulders. And your keys.
Jesus. All right. So you can find Nick there. Aaron, they can find you if they live in the greater Los Angeles area and fart and fall down and stub their toe.
Correct.
And then you can help.
I'm usually the first person you see after saying, "Hold my beer and watch this."
That's right. Aaron is the one. We'll show him the picture. We'll show Nick the picture. But
please.
It's a guy came in to the ER and said he stubbed his toe. And they sent Aaron out to deal with him because how could you possibly be at the ER because you stubbed your toe? And
his bone was sticking.
He said, "Show it to me." And the guy's he's like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah, show it to me." The guy pulls off the bandage, and the toe was sideways, completely 90 degrees to the rest of his foot. It was his big toe. It had gone out or no, towards the instep, right?
Yeah.
It went towards his instep 90 degrees, and then there was a nice clean line where the toe was hanging on by flesh, and then all you saw sticking out was the metatarsal of the foot nub.
Bone was sticking out.
Bone sticking out.
What the fuck happened?
I asked, did he stub his toe on a guillotine or something?
I don't know. I felt bad after giving him all that shit. Come on, dude, really? Show me your toe.
Did he
shit.
Did he lose the toe?
No,
they just
pull it back
turned it back sideways and stitched it.
They should have taken the toe and give it to him as a keychain.
We had to
My lucky toe.
It's my rabbit's. What's not a rabbit? It's my foot.
This toe goes with me everywhere.
Rub it, you'll get lucky.
Rub my toe on.
Rubbing the lucky toe nub for luck is where we'll end. Until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.